our work right now on the planet is to bring honoring and sanctity to the invisible just as much as the visible. The invisible results are things like feeling good, things like feeling connected, things like our health, our well-being, a feeling of joy, pleasure.
Embodiment can't be faked. Once you're in an open state where you actually can see through a clear lens, you're not clouded by fear, you're not clouded by the amygdala, you're not clouded by society's news and all the fear-based stuff, and you're just with you. Then you get to decide where you think we actually are.
Energy is information. We're here to experience the full spectrum.
That worthiness is hard for you. There's nothing wrong with you. It is a muscle that we kind of have to learn how to access. You are not disempowered, and you have power in every area of your life all the time.
I believe that chronic illness is an opportunity for us to heal.
Health, it's a choice. Listening to your body if you so choose.
My prayer for the world would be that they would know the infinite love of God.
Aloha and welcome to the Body and Soul Wisdom Podcast, formerly known as the Embodied Healing Self Podcast, with your host, jenmons. Join me each week for soul-inspired, conscious conversations around awakening to your soul purpose through 5-element well-being. Thank you so much for joining in. Aloha, my friends and family. Welcome back to the Body and Soul Wisdom Podcast with your host, Jen Mons, where we have been creating conscious conversations through 5-element well-being since March of 2019. I want to talk about soul wisdom imprinting, 5-element wealth, and the path to prosperity today. If you've been a listener of the show over the past couple of years, you've probably heard me as a guest on other podcasts, or you've probably heard my podcast episodes around these different methods. And today I want to really tie those together so that I can help you create a picture, and I'm even going to create a diagram for you of what this means. I believe with all my heart and wisdom and knowing that we are here as humans to fully embody the highest expression of our soul. Some people might call that Christ consciousness. Some people might call that higher self, the divine within you, your spiritual gifts and talents. That I really truly believe that when we are born, we have an energetic frequency. The frequency of our imprint, our soul, our makeup, what makes us who we are, all the way down to what we look like, the family that we are born into, what we are here to do, our gifts, our talents, all of it. And then life happens. And in life, we have hard stuff. Sometimes it's a traumatic event. Sometimes we have a health crisis, family crisis, and we shift. We shift our beliefs out of fear, scarcity, and other events that might create negative impacts in our life. If you hear that sound, that's my puppy. She's sleeping and dreaming right now. And I think it's just so funny when she's my little helper, my little assistant. She's right by my feet. If you hear that noise in the background, that is her traveling through her consciousness right now. And I'm so excited about this conversation. How funny is it that she's laying here having her own experience when I'm here to talk about this? We come into this life with an energetic frequency, a soul blueprint. This is what soul retrieval does. This is what blueprint and imprinting. We hear of genetic and karmic imprinting of our soul. We have the different energy auric fields around us, from etheric to mental, physical, emotional. And that's part of the chakra system. We have the 7 chakras in the body. We have the 6 beyond us. And we have different energy bodies around that at different states of consciousness around our own physical being. And when difficult things happen in life, what this does to our energy field is it creates holes or gaps where we then get to lean into those challenges, those uncomfortable situations, close and heal those gaps so that we can then become whole again. And you can see this through our energy field. It's something that I teach in our 5-element wealth course when we get to understanding the chakras in the energy body. And it's a part of reprogramming the subconscious through divine healing that I do with my clients. It's taking it all the way down to a quantum physics level to where we can see how the wounding and the traumatic events impacts our energy field all the way down to our physical body, having an impact on the different organs in our body that are related to different experiences in our life, and how our body can hold those traumatic events, how we can feel tension in that same area of our body based on a traumatic event that maybe we had 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 3 days ago. And our life is about realigning to that highest frequency of our soul in this human form. So if you think about resonating at a particular vibration when you come into this life, if you believe that your soul is in agreement with our Creator to come into this life to evolve so that we can evolve as a collective, we can evolve the consciousness of the collective of human on this planet so that we can raise the vibration. Each individual on this planet has their own individual purpose. And your individual purpose energetically is to realign with that highest frequency of your soul that you agreed to come here to do. You get to choose what that looks like. You get to choose if overcoming those really challenging events is going to make you a victim or make you a victor. If you're going to rise through it like the phoenix, or you're going to burn to the ground. And nobody gets through life without these things. What I have created based on 17 years of experience in coaching, which started with integrative wellness after a health crisis and evolved to life coaching and breath work and yoga teaching and then energy work and meditation, that there are 5 elements to the art of living well. I happen to call it 5-element wealth: physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and financial. Now, that happens to be the order that my awakening process came to. But I've noticed with the women that I've supported over the years that it's not necessarily in that ascending order. When our soul comes to fully evolve in 3D, our spirit in human form, we will go through, and maybe there's another one, maybe there's a 6th one that I haven't tapped into yet. But if we are not living consciously aware, we will be invited to heal our relationship with our physical body. I like to call this body wisdom. Body wisdom is the embodiment of the wisdom of our connection to Source. So we all have this connection to Source, to God, to the divine. And it's flowing through us every single day. It's all around us every single day. It's the whisper, the voice of the Holy Spirit. It's the energy that connects all of us to something greater. It's the knowing that we are not just here in 3D form. But the physical body is what holds the imprint, the truth of who we are. It's intuition in physical form. We get to use our body as a tool our body is a tool. It's a receiver. It receives energetic information from God, from the universe, from plants, from animals, from the people in our lives. We are always receivers. We are constantly receiving information. And then it's up to us to listen to that information and to turn it into wisdom. And our body is the tool that does this. Now, our body is also an amplifier. So it's an amplifier because what we choose to do with that wisdom, with that energetic language that we receive, is putting that information into aligned action and therefore becoming and creating that ripple effect into the world. So it's that larger integrative network of collective consciousness that we are all a part of. And so we receive, and then we create our truth from what we receive, and then we send out and we amplify. And that's why I love the body and the body wisdom as our greatest tool. So it's important to take care of our body, to feed it well, to nutritionally nourish your body, to move so that we don't become stagnant, and to have a healthy relationship with our body. The next realm, and I'm going to tell you how each of these 5 elements of wealth line up with soul wisdom imprinting. So first I'm going to list these 5 elements of living well, the 5 dimensions of the 5 energy bodies, the 5 dimensions of us as humans. And then I'm going to take you through the 6 steps of soul wisdom imprinting and how each of these steps aligns with the 5 elements of living well. So then we have our emotional body, which is where we store trauma. It's where we love. It's where we hurt. Then we move into the mental body or the mindset. Now I want to back up into the emotional body. Emotional freedom and emotional unattachment is really the goal. Getting to a place where our emotions are not running the show. We witness them, but we are not consumed by them. And then we experience emotional freedom. And then we move into our mental body, which is our mindset. And we want to be always leaning into that growth mindset. This is what separates the good from the great, the amazing. A lot of people have the skills, gifts, and talents to do good in the world. And there's always going to be those sabotaging beliefs about ourselves that are going to keep us from that last 2%. And that's really what sets apart the top athletes in the world, the most successful business entrepreneurs. Then we move into the financial piece. Because if you remember in the physical realm, I said that we are amplifiers. And so money is an energy that allows us to amplify our voice and our values and our work into the world. It allows us to contribute to the greater good of the collective consciousness through investing in our values. It's really a reflection of the human experience. It's an energy exchange of who you are and who you say you're becoming. Because where you put your money is a tangible and also energetic frequency that says what you value. So if you value health, nutrition, family, God, supporting other people, investing in your well-being, travel, adventures, those are the choices that you get to make through the exchange, the energy exchange of money. And then we come to the spiritual growth. And once we get to the apex, the embodiment of our soul frequency, the frequency of our higher self, the divine within us that we came into this life with, once we come back full circle and align this physical form through our choice and action, because we have a healthy relationship with our physical, emotional, mental body, And also we are in healthy relationship with financial energy to give and receive, to be a part of the integrative collective network, to be in physical form and be in that exchange of co-creation. Money is just a language to do that. Then we get to grow and amplify into our soul purpose, our soul contract, what we came here to do. And what I often see is that what we think it is actually so much smaller than what it actually is. And I don't mean that in a way that like you're not doing enough. What I mean is that most people, as when I start working with most women and even in myself, our capacity to expand and really express the fullest expression of our soul is actually so much bigger than we are actually willing to see. There is just so much more available, so many more gifts and talents and possibility than we're actually even capable of seeing. And that's because the mindset piece, or maybe the emotional piece, hasn't been cleared. Or maybe our physical body isn't thriving and we have toxic overload, and so there's no clarity between the communication of the neurotransmitters from our gut. So it all matters. I want to list the 6 steps to the soul wisdom imprinting process, which is an energy alignment method. So it's how do we align this physical form, who is thriving physically, emotionally, mentally, financially, and spiritually, to that path of prosperity. Because prosperity, a life of prosperity, a life of abundance in love, in health and longevity, in freedom and money, and not because money is the value, but it's the wealth of choice and freedom that people are speaking. It is a resource. It is to live resourced and loved, resourced and support, resourced and nourished nutritionally, energetically, and financially. Our soul goes through the 6 steps of the soul wisdom imprinting process, which is the energy alignment method to aligning the physical body to the soul frequency. And of course, the first step to this is to awaken. You hear people have an awakening experience or a soul awakening. I'm here to tell you that you might have more than one. You've probably heard of the dark night of the soul. Maybe you've heard of the soul retrieval process, where a fragment of the soul leaves the body because of trauma. And then there are people to support you, a shaman or some type of energy healer that can help you realign that fragmented, wounded part of the soul that escapes the body through the hole in the energy field because of trauma, to help bring that back in and make that energy field whole again. We have an awakening moment, a come to Jesus moment, a moment where you're on your knees. And some of us have many. I've had more than one. First was a physical near-death experience, becoming a mother during birth. Second was an energetic health crisis. So that soul awakening moment, either a breakdown in marriage, a relationship with a narcissist, a breakdown in your finances, losing your home, a health crisis, to name a few that I've supported women through that maybe you've experienced, the loss of a child. I mean, these are hard things that people go through. Once we are in that space of awakening, we then move into the physical form, the physical body, where we align. So that second step is to align the body wisdom with our values. This would be the embodiment and integrity of our truth. We live what we say we value. We live our purpose. So we look at what's important to us and we live in alignment with that. Nothing more, nothing less. And then we move into the emotional attunement. Moving into emotional freedom is the third step, which is to attune. Attuning is an energetic frequency where we clear out old garbage. And this is likely done through shadow work, through removing your subconscious blocks and fears. This is kind of the heavy lifting. It has to be in the beginning because it's sort of like excavating all of the dirt, the darkness, the trauma, cleaning it out. It's like, think of doing a coffee enema or some type of detox or cleanse where you just clear out all the bile, all the sludge in the body, and you start over. This is what we're doing in an emotional level. And as we come to the mental body, first we awaken, align, attune, then we attract. This is where our mindset, we step into that space because we've had that awakening moment. We're aligning our physical form and creating the vessel to hold a higher frequency, kind of like a soul upgrade, a higher frequency of our soul to live in. We start aligning to that. We attune it. We're cleaning out. We're doing the shadow work. Then we start to attract what we believe we become. And this can be a little bit tricky because oftentimes what happens is once we've done the inner work, we start to attract experiences bigger and better than we could even imagine before we committed to this inner work. Whatever goals you had might have been small. And so then we get to ask ourselves again, like, am I really worthy of this? And that's why we kind of go back and forth between the emotional and the mental piece. But we start to see results. We start to see results in our physical health. We start to, for example, this is like one of my favorite, these are two of my favorite examples when I start to work with women. One, they either welcome in love very quickly within a week or two. It's happened so many times. And it's not even, it's this person's underneath subconscious desire. They say they want to let go of stress, but what they really want is love in their life. And within 2 weeks of signing a contract to work with me, somehow it happens. It's because they're more open, they've said yes, and they're willing to receive. That's one of my favorite tangible results. The other one is financial abundance. I can't even explain it, but somehow, sometimes the latest is Amy, who's an integrative and wellness doctor in Hawaii, and literally just like as soon as we started talking about prosperity within the first 2 weeks, found $2,000 cash. Kim, before she worked with me in my prosperity course, received a bonus in the amount of the course the day that she said yes, then proceeded to get a 20% raise in her job. Christina, and all of these are testimonials you can find on my website. Christina, through the prosperity course, received 2 raises in 3 months without asking for them. Energetically, because where we put our intention and energy, where our attention goes to, energy flows. What we focus on expands. And something happens when we say, yes, I'm going to invest myself, I'm going to create change, whatever area you're meant to create change into next, if you're growing into the physical, emotional, mental, financial, or spiritual, will start to expand. When you are aligned, when you are ready. So we start to attract. We attract financial abundance. We attract a soulmate. I've worked with so many women over the years that and I'm not saying it's me, it's just somehow it happens that all of a sudden they meet their soulmate and they get married while they're in one of my programs, or they get engaged. Or they're attracting dream clients. They're getting health results that they're looking for, so they have more energy and confidence to then attract these things. So awaken, align, attune, attract. And then from attracting, we start to see the results, which is awesome. We remain unattached to the results, but we start to see them. We begin to amplify. And this is the financial piece, because money is an amplifier. Our body is an amplifier. Money is an energy in which we amplify our truth, our voice, and values out into the world. If we value healthy foods, then we invest in healthy foods. If we value our health, we invest in health. If we value supporting others, we do this with our massage therapist, our facial, our acupuncture. We value our health, and we value that person for their service. If we value travel and freedom, we get to invest in that. If we value saving pets, we get to invest in that. If we value education, we can invest in that. Money is a way that we get to say, this is what I value, and we amplify the value of whatever that is into the world. So we're contributing to the value of what we are investing into the world. Because the more people that invest in what we value, the more of a value it comes culturally. So choose wisely. Amplify is the path to financial freedom through joy and authenticity. We get to do the work around our relationship to money. This is the amplifier piece. Because whatever energy you enter your relationship to money with is going to amplify if you haven't done the inner work first. If you live in scarcity, you will always have scarcity no matter how much money you make. You have to do the inner work first. I've had clients and witnessed women who go from 60,000 a year to 7 figures, and it's still never enough, and they can't hold the money. They can't physically, tangibly hold it because they don't know the value of themselves or the money, or they don't have their values aligned to choose to invest wisely. And the 6th piece is when we come to alchemy. So first we awaken to our soul truth. For some of us, it's going to be a hard awakening. For others, it's just a moment of realizing that my current life is not working for me. Then we align our physical form through body wisdom and our values by upgrading our soul through our health and well-being. We attune through shadow work, removing subconscious blocks. We then begin to attract the higher version, the higher frequency of what we're stepping into. We no longer live who we were, but we step into who we're becoming. And then we begin to amplify. Because we have confidence and clarity, we start to amplify our life through choice, through freedom, allowing ourselves to receive wealth, prosperity, support. And then we come to alchemize, the alchemy of life, where you thrive in health, love, abundance. You're doing your soul work. It feels really good. Spiritual alignment to our soul wisdom. And we start to see that the fruits of our efforts are received, and there's a sweet spot of effortlessness. We're no longer pushing. We're no longer out of alignment. We're super clear on what we are and are not available for. And that, my friends, is how we align our life to our soul wisdom. That is the 6th step soul wisdom imprinting method. It is the path to prosperity through 5 elements of well-being: physical, emotional, mental, financial, and spiritual. It's what we came here to do. It's what we came here to be. And I'd like to invite you to check out a mini course on soul wisdom imprinting, just to dip the toe. If you want to dive deeper, we have my 5-element wealth circle the Prosperity Mastermind, and also the Wellness, Wisdom, and Wealth Retreat in Jacksonville Beach, November 2nd. We'll drop all of those links if this speaks to you so that you can join. Or maybe you start out with the 13 Moons Journal, which is a journey to living well through the 5 elements of well-being. And this fall, I'm super excited to announce that I'll be publishing the Prosperity Journal and book, which you will be gifted. The first ladies to receive will be the attendees of the Wellness, Wisdom, and Wealth Retreat, where one day we will completely embody, transmute all of the money blocks, saboteurs into prosperity consciousness. Okay, my friends, thank you for joining again. Have a wonderful day. I know for some of you, this conversation was new. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear your thoughts and feedbacks. We get to do this together. We get to grow and evolve together. Thank you for joining in, and I'll see you again on the show next week. Aloha.
The content of this podcast is to educate, inspire, and inform you of pathways to an embodied healing self. It is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice from your medical doctor, therapist, registered dietitian, or nutritionist for any questions you may have regarding your diagnosis or condition.
Friends, and thank you so much for joining again each week on the Body and Soul Wisdom Podcast, formerly the Embodied Healing Self Podcast. I am so deeply honored to share this space with you every week. I know that there are many other podcasts that you could be tuning into, and our community is expanding and growing more with each new episode. I'd like to invite you to come on over to jenmons.com/tribe and receive some of the wonderful gifts that we have for you: a meditation bundle, energetic alignment, 5-element wealth, prosperity consciousness. We have a ton of different gifts available for you to enjoy. Now, we have one small favor to ask. In order for this podcast to get into the hearts and souls of like and light-minded people, we need your support. We would love your review, and would love it if you'd head on over to jenmons.com/podcast to leave a review or leave one on iTunes so that we can continue to share the love beyond out into the world. Thank you so much again for joining in. We'll see you next week.